Hello everyone. For my special learning project, I simulated the condition of osteoarthritis in my hands and in my wrists. In this presentation, I'll be going over how the simulation went, what factors were addressed, and also how different occupational therapy models can be applied. So what exactly is osteoarthritis? According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, osteoarthritis is a degenerative joint disease. It develops when cartilage in joints break down, which essentially affects the structure of bones. Typically, osteoarthritis develops within the hands and knees with common symptoms such as pain, stiffness, swelling, and joint deformity. Specifically for osteoarthritis in the hands, the formation of Heberdone's nodes may occur. This refers to bone swelling in the distal interphalangeal joints. As you can see on this slide, this is what osteoarthritis looks like in the hands, with joint deformity, nodes, and bone enlargement. Some altered person factors that may occur with individuals who have osteoarthritis include psychological, motor, and physiological. For example, limited joint movement could minimize one's self efficacy in doing tasks. Pain from this condition may reduce one's strength. Joint stiffness can affect fine motor skills and range of motion, and trying to alleviate symptoms could potentially be stress inducing. Prior to beginning the simulation, I took note of my existing person factors. I consider myself to be a fairly healthy individual, both physically and mentally, so I currently have no problem interacting within my environment or engaging in my occupations. To replicate osteoarthritis, I utilized an elastic wrap around my hands and wrists. This reflected swelling and stiffness in my joints. I also wrapped my hands and wrists in a way to show joint deformity and Heberdone's nodes. To simulate the pain of osteoarthritis, I had a timer that went off every 20 minutes. This was a signal that I had to take a break from whatever I was doing to rest from pain. I wanted to somehow see how frequent it is for individuals with osteoarthritis to take these breaks and acknowledge any pain that they may feel throughout each day. Here's an image of how my hands looked during the simulation. As you can see, the elastic wrap reflected swelling, stiffness, joint deformity, and also Heberdone's nodes and my distal interphalangeal joints. The physical environment factors I want to address from the simulation are the doorknobs and doors located in all rooms, grocery items located in the kitchen, and the sink handles and door lock in the bathroom. These are all considered to be products that were human built. I also considered my social environment, which included all of my family members. I informed them of what I was conducting for this project, but encouraged them to treat me the way they would if I was actually diagnosed with osteoarthritis. A model that I used to analyze my environmental factors was the environmental press theory. This model takes a look at the environmental press demand and an individual's competence level. For example, if an environment factor has too high of a press while competence is low, this mismatch could lead to negative affect or maladaptive behavior. You'd want to identify ways to modify circumstances in order to reach the adaptation level to either maximize performance or an individual's comfort. For the doorknobs, I found difficulty opening doors because of the joint stiffness, deformity, and swelling in my hands. It was also hard to push doors open because of its weight, and I couldn't produce proper wrist extension, again, due to the swelling. My limitations in range of motion and strength would be considered low competence, while the doorknobs and the doors itself would then be high in environmental press. This proportion between competence and environmental press essentially led to my maladaptive behavior and negative affect, as you can see on the red zone of this graph. I would get incredibly frustrated if I had to open a door and found myself avoiding certain areas in my home in order to cope with these changes. Similarly, the grocery items also had a high environmental press, while my abilities were so low on this graph. It was hard to properly grip each item and carry it to the cabinets because of the joint stiffness and deformity in my hands. So in order to reach the zone of maximum comfort, I modified my approach by utilizing two hands instead of one, as seen on this video clip. Using two hands was essentially more comfortable for me to do in this task rather than using only one. With my social environment, my family was constantly trying to help me with things. They didn't demand anything from me, which made me question my competence level. I felt as if there was very little press compared to my competence level. My family thought otherwise because I could see how they wanted to make things a lot less challenging for me as much as possible. Even though I appreciated their support, I started to get upset feeling that I lost my independence and this affected my self efficacy. I didn't know how to cope with these changes, and so I landed in this red zone for negative affect and maladaptive behavior on the environmental press theory graph. Another model I used to address my environment factors was the enabler model. I was able to quantify them based on the scale of 1 to 4, 1 representing a potential problem, 2 a problem, 3 severe problem, and 4 impossibility. The enabler model was applied to the bathroom. I chose to address structures in the bathroom because I personally think my activities of daily living are important and I want to maximize my independence in this area as much as possible. The first structure that was observed were the sink handles. The sink handle in my bathroom is actually currently broken, so it requires ample strength to twist on. I found myself having difficulty turning it on again because of the stiffness in my hands. I assigned the structure with a number 3 as a severe problem because the sink is a crucial part of me doing my personal hygiene. The second structure I observed was the lock on my bathroom door. The lock is small, which made it difficult to properly grip. I assigned a number 2 to this because although it was a problem, it wasn't severe or impossible for me to manage with the symptoms of osteoarthritis. Now moving on to occupations. I engaged in health management, leisure, and educational activities. For health management, I did my morning routine that involved a high intensity interval training for 1 hour in the living room. In the afternoon, I practiced playing guitar in the family music room. And finally, at night, I worked on some assignments in my bedroom. The PEOP model was used to assess certain occupations and how osteoarthritis played an influence on my person factors, well being, and performance. To start off with my physical activity, I found the symptoms of osteoarthritis to affect my mood. I was becoming discouraged throughout the activity because of my altered motor and physiological factors. I was unable to conduct proper wrist extension because of the joint swelling and stiffness, which disrupted my typical routine. I could not do proper planks or push ups with my condition. Due to these changes, I finished the activity not feeling as energized as I normally would have without the condition. I had to take several breaks during this activity, as you will see in this short video clip. For leisure, I again observed how my motor and physiological factors were altered. I could not extend my fingers properly to create chords for music. This also influenced my psychological factors because music is a way for me to de-stress. I'm typically someone who would try to persevere beyond challenges, but I found that not being able to play guitar was very stressful and it lowered my motivation to want to keep playing. So first, here's a video clip of me playing guitar the day before my simulation. Now here's a video clip of me playing during my simulation. As you can see, the symptoms of osteoarthritis deterred me from playing the song effectively as I would have without the condition. At the end of the day, I was working on assignments for school. I'm usually productive and can type work fast, but unfortunately, due to the several breaks and limited range of motion, it took me longer to work on things. This essentially led to stress and also a change in my self-efficacy because I started to believe that with osteoarthritis, I may not be able to get things done or excel in school. Overall, the simulation gave me insight on how osteoarthritis in the hands and wrists can truly affect an individual, their well-being, and their performance. It also allowed me to look at things with an occupational therapy lens on how different interventions could potentially be done to adapt to the condition. Though things felt limiting throughout my simulation, I believe living with osteoarthritis is not impossible. We can always find ways to modify our circumstances in order to enhance our well-being and performance. I also wanted to close with this quote I found from an occupational therapist that reads, "Occupational therapy, hopeless into hope, can't into can, impossible into possible." I just thought it was fitting to my reflection on this simulation and the simulations I've seen other fellow classmates conduct. Here are my references. Thank you.